the way things are now, I think it's so easy for us to genuinely sit there and think, is there anyone else that's actually like me? Is there anyone else who thinks like me? Is there anyone else who sees this topic the way I do? Is there anyone like me who considers both sides of an equation and doesn't freak out the minute that someone disagrees with me on some minor point? It can feel like the answer is no. But the way I think about this is that most people who say dramatic things on social media are just not normal. They're not the usual. How many people in real life have you met who actively leave comments on stuff? Do you know they actually leave comments on stuff, or even just make videos themselves, or are extremely outspoken? Most people aren't. Most people, I call it the silent majority. I think most people call it I think that's one of the terms that they have, the silent majority. And the fact is that the silent majority contains a lot of people. Why? Because it's the majority. What this means is that people like you are probably somewhere in that silent majority. They're not making a big fuss about themselves. They're not making it obvious what they think and feel. They're just sort of observing, being chill, being relaxed. And so that's what I like to remind myself, is that if it seems like the world is getting a bit too crazy and the people online are talking crazy and everyone's just losing it over small things, I just remind myself that everyone on the internet is unusual to some degree. Like, the internet doesn't represent how people normally are. It doesn't represent the common person. And I think this makes real life interaction even more important than it's ever been. Because because the internet and the stuff that we see online is extremely polarizing, because it's extremely just not usual to how people are in real life, it makes there a real risk to us if we don't have enough social interaction in real life, because we start to get this warped view of how people are. We start to become less trusting of people. We start to think that people are just worse than they are. People are more reactive than they actually are. People are just unpleasant to be around, when the case is that most people are quite normal still. Most people aren't, the crazy stuff you see online, it doesn't need saying again. Real life is real life. And one of the important things is that if people are really like you, then they're actually like you. Which means if you're not the type of person who's shouting about their beliefs, who's being really dramatic, antagonizing people, then the other people like you probably aren't doing that as well. Which means that you're not going to hear about each other. You're both quiet people. The way that people know that people exist is through expression. I express myself, you perceive me expressing myself, and you are able to decide if you want to be associated. And that's how human beings do it. We express ourselves, and then we make decisions of who we want to spend more time with. And so if we don't hear those expressions, if we don't hear people's opinions, if we don't hear people talking, then we never get that sign that this person is someone that we'd like to hang out with, someone that we'd like to spend more time with. So it's worth considering that maybe you're not the only one that thinks like you. You just can't see the other people like you because you're both not really talking. You're both not really making a scene out of yourselves. And so, yeah, you might even be closer than you think, but just because no one's saying anything out loud, you just don't find out. And that's not a bad thing. It's just worth knowing. So yeah, I think people like all of us exist. I think we're nowhere near as alone as it can sometimes feel. It just comes down to whether or not we choose to show it. And a lot of people, if you're the quiet type, if you're the type who's a bit more introverted, then, well, as I have been, then naturally you will find yourself thinking, oh, are people just all like this and I'm the weird one, I'm the unusual one? But in reality, you come to realize, if you think about this critically and you can hold off on thinking that you're really the only one, worrying too much about it, you can realize that people like you are out there. They just keep to themselves, as you probably do.